A lot of my friends started smoking before the age of 12. Sometimes I feel that I need to smoke too in order to fit in, but I know that's not allowed in Islam. How should I deal with the situation?
Sometimes people, and in particular teenagers, tend to be susceptible to resort to certain types of behavior in order to compensate for things that are missing from their lives, defects in their character, or otherwise to escape from their problems. Sometimes males may do certain things to prove their manhood, while some females may adopt certain behaviors to prove that they are desirable or worthy of attention. Sometimes teenagers behave in certain ways because they crave or want to attract attention. In any case, they may engage in actions that are known to be harmful. Some young people drive recklessly, smoke cigarettes or shisha, or even take drugs. Some will do these things because of peer pressure, trying to fit in and be cool. Others want to attract attention, and some will do so because of the way they were raised, watching their parents smoke and imitating because it is normal to them. If these practices were really capable of compensating for character defects, then we could go ahead and do them, no problem at all. But the problem is that these things actually destroy characters instead of compensating for shortcomings. The big problem with smoking is not only the medical harm it causes, but the fact that it weakens a person's character. That is because God created us free and commanded us not to worship anything but Him, and not to surrender or submit to anyone or anything but Him. But sadly, we began to enslave ourselves to other humans and to all sorts of habits and material things. Here we have a drug addict, and there we have an alcoholic, and someone addicted to smoking, and so on and so on. A smoker may have to leave a comfortable air-conditioned room and go out into the scorching heat in order to have a smoke. The cigarette has enslaved him. His physical need has enslaved him. If it is freezing cold or raining, he will still venture outside in order to have his cigarette. This is the extent to which a person may be enslaved by a mere cigarette. Being addicted to a certain substance or habit in general is a form of enslavement, even if that habit is not particularly harmful. Being addicted to the habit of drinking coffee or tea in the morning or reading the newspaper in the morning are some examples. So even if a habit is not necessarily harmful, being addicted to it is still a form of enslavement. Because if a person is deprived of it, his whole life is turned upside down. He goes to work in a bad mood and is unable to concentrate all day because he didn't get his morning cup of coffee, or maybe even because he didn't get to read the morning papers. We must try to break our daily habits so that they do not end up enslaving us. Make a point of drinking tea one morning, coffee the next morning, and juice the day after, and then on the next day drinking nothing at all and fast. You will then be the one in control, and you will be your own boss. Some people set out just to try something one time, like cigarettes, with no intention of continuing to smoke. And by the way, that is how most smokers start out. Most smokers set out with the intention of making his first cigarette his last one. Most addicts start like that too, with no intention of ever becoming addicted. So the solution is for each person to have confidence in himself and to know that his character is not in need of any embellishments, and that he should be himself rather than imitate the people around him by copying them like a sheep when they smoke or drink, etc. That is how God created his character, and he should refrain from trying any dangerous things that are addictive, such as cigarettes, drugs, and alcohol. We should not touch these things or go near them in the first place. The solution is to arm yourself with self-confidence and know that it is not a cigarette that will make people see you as grown up or macho or cool. Many people smoke, and that didn't contribute to making them being viewed more favorably. On the contrary, a smoker reeks of the smell of cigarettes, and I really fail to see what can be attractive about someone who stinks of cigarettes. Nobody should try anything that is addictive, because believe me, many people's lives have been ruined because of addiction. I know that not everyone who tries smoking ends up becoming addicted to cigarettes. Around 1/3 of those who try it are able to never do it again and not get hooked on it. But the other 2/3 become addicted. Among these 2/3, about half die of lung cancer. What is the rationalization for trying something that is addictive? So many lives have been ruined because of addiction. Whole families have been ruined. Endless money was lost on treatment from addiction of drugs and alcohol. And in many cases, rehab was a failure. And the only result was loss of the victim's money, health, and even life. If you see a lung cancer patient suffering with artificial respiration and gasping for breath and crying in agony, you would not think of putting a cigarette in your mouth. If you see what the lung of a smoker looks like in a post-mortem examination, you would be shocked. A smoker's lung is black like the asphalt on a road. This is because tar, which is present in cigarettes, is the same substance used in paving roads. God is going to ask us about the blessings He gave us. He is going to ask you about the body that you ruined. You will be asked about what you did with the money that He blessed you with. Did you use it to help the poor, or did you burn it away in cigarettes? The money you pay for a pack of cigarettes could buy enough food to feed a family of refugees or a family suffering from famine. Your own family is more worthy of the money you spend on pack of cigarettes. Imagine if you got a present each day for your wife for the price of that pack of cigarettes. Imagine how the relationship between you would be. Wouldn't things be better between you when your wife finds that you remember her with a simple gift every single day? The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "Give presents to each other and love will spread among you." In other words, when people buy each other gifts, there will be more love between them. We should quit smoking and instead use the money for buying gifts for each other or for giving charity to the poor. Actually, the money in our possession isn't really ours. God Almighty mentions in the Quran that people should give money to slaves in order to help them buy their own freedom. But it is interesting that He says, "And give them some of the wealth of God that He has given you." So the money isn't really ours. It belongs to God, and He gave it to us to test us and see what we would do with it. It's just like a father when he gives his son $20 to see what he will do with it. Will he spend it all on candy and gum and useless things? Or will he spend some on sweets and save the rest? That is better, of course. Or even better, will he spend some on candy, save some, and give some to the poor? So the father gives his son that sum of money in order to test him, to see what he will do. And God is the highest example of that. He is testing us in a similar way. He said in the Quran, "That which we have placed on earth is but glitter, that we may test them as to which of them are best in conduct." So now that you understand that the money you have was given to you by God in order that He may test you, why do you insist on failing that test? Make an effort to pass the test. Think of all the hungry children, and think of the poor, and think of the sick that die because they don't have the money to buy medicine. On the other hand, you should not overdo it in denying yourself reasonable and innocent pleasures. Nobody says you should deprive yourself from enjoying the harmless and wholesome pleasures of life. God addresses the Prophet, peace be upon him, in the Quran and tells him, "Say, who has forbidden the adornment and the nourishment God has provided for His servants? As long as a person properly determines the amount of money that must be given as alms or charity and pays what is due to the poor, he or she then has the right to enjoy innocent pleasures, provided there is no excessiveness and wasteful spending." God Almighty says in the Quran, "Those who are neither wasteful nor miserly when they spend, but keep to a just balance." Moderation is the true challenge that faces a Muslim throughout his life. Extremism is the easiest thing, by the way, but the difficult challenge is to follow a moderate path that is neither extreme on one way or another. Moderation between stinginess and extravagance, between recklessness and cowardice, between undue strictness in religion and moral degeneration. God Almighty says in the Quran, "We have made you a middle nation." Do you know in which surah this verse is? This is in Surah Al-Baqarah, or chapter number 2. And do you know what the number of this verse is? Surah Al-Baqarah has a total of 286 verses. If you divide them by 2, the answer is 143. And that is the number of this particular verse, right in the middle. So the verse that says that we are a middle nation is verse number 143, right in the middle of Surah Al-Baqarah. Moderation is the key to this religion, and it is the challenge that faces each and every one of us. Thank you.